What's up guys, Tim here from Audio Tutor. So today I want to talk about pianos and keyboards in particular. Maybe you are an awesome keyboard player and you have this new song that you want to record, and when you lay it down and record that keyboard, it just doesn't sound the way you want it to. You want it to sound like a big old grand piano and it just doesn't sound right. Today I want to break it down really quickly and get you sounding professional even with your awesome little keyboard. Okay, so the first thing we want to start with is the recording, all right? How do we record the keyboard? Now, there's a couple of mistakes that we're going to start off with. The first mistake I've seen is people recording with a microphone, recording the speakers of your keyboard. You don't want to do that. There's only, if you wanted some sort of nuanced sound, that might be kind of useful, but for the most part, you're not going to get a good sound doing that, so do not record using microphones around the speakers. It's not going to sound right. Don't do that. The second thing is don't just jack in the keyboard. This can sound okay, you know, depending on your model and how they've put those samples together. But generally speaking, just jacking in, you either have like a stereo jack or two jacks left and right. Recording that signal just isn't going to sound how you want it to. It's not going to get that rich tone. It usually ends up sounding a bit like a keyboard. Alrighty, so that's the second thing you don't want to do. The way you do want to record is through MIDI. So get yourself one of those cables, USB on one side, Lightning, whatever, and on the other side it has these two little adapters that go into your keyboard. Now if you need instruction on how to set that up, maybe I can do another video. Let me know in the comments section below, and maybe I could do another video for you on how to set that up. But essentially you're going to set it up to record your MIDI, record the MIDI performance. Once you're done playing, now for most keyboards you'll be able to record all of the pedal information as well. So sustain pedal, softening pedal, all of that stuff will get recorded into the MIDI information as well. It'll be a full MIDI performance of your whole song or the short riff that you're doing or whatever it is, right? Once you've got that recorded, you'll have all those little dots, right? Has, you know, the little rectangles all over the place. That's your whole performance right there. The next thing you want to do, and this is kind of the first part of the mixing phase, I guess, is not a plugin. You don't need to grab a plugin. The first thing you want to do is grab your entire performance. All right, so just like click and drag highlight the whole performance, all of that MIDI information, and just turn the velocity down just a smidge. Right, so maybe by 20 points, turn that velocity down. The reason for this, it just works. Every time I've done it, it has worked. For some reason, the MIDI information is always recorded just a little bit too loud, a little bit, not loud, but too strong in velocity. So turn that velocity down for the entire performance, all right? Just a little smidge, and you'll get a much more natural sound. Then we move on to plugins and mixing, all right? The first thing you want to do is grab an EQ. I'm doing this really quick because I want you to get a great performance quickly and get those awesome ideas down and record it and get some results. So grab an EQ. You're going to want to look at muddy frequencies. That's between like 300 and 500 hertz. You're going to have some issues down there probably. Look around. If you're not hearing anything in that area, don't worry about it. The second thing is you're going to find some harshness, usually, because we're listening to a digital sound. So you're going to find some harshness around like maybe 800 hertz up to 3000 hertz. There's going to be some harshness in there. Sweep around, find it, remove it. Don't go too drastic, all right? You never really want to do more than like 6 dB of reduction there. So then the last thing you want to do is look at some air on the very top end in the EQ spectrum. So grab that EQ and look at the very top end. Because it's a digital sound, it's a sampled sound, it's not real, you're going to need to add quite a lot of air in the top end. So get that high shelf boost, about 10K, maybe lower if you want, maybe sometimes down to 6K, and boost, you know, not too much, but boost something like 3 or 4 dB in that top end to get some of that air back to make things sound a bit more real. All right, next thing you want to do is probably a little bit of compression. Now you don't want to do anything too crazy. All right, it is piano, it's a dynamic instrument, something that's, you know, you want it to sound natural. So just a little bit of compression. Remember, these are samples, so they've probably already been compressed at some point. So a little bit of compression, we're looking at like 2 to 3 dB of gain reduction, really not much more than that. You could go even less. Your attack time, you don't want a really quick attack time because you're going to spoil it. So make sure you're somewhere around 50 milliseconds on attack time. And like an average release, often the auto release is a nice feature for piano. Tends to work pretty well. All right, but the best way is to listen to your compression and make sure that it sounds the way it should. The next thing, and a hugely important thing, is saturation. And this is hugely important for any virtual instrument, really. If you have any synthesizers, any other keyboards, anything like that, it's not a real instrument, it's a sampled instrument, you're going to want to make it sound real. And a great way to do that is to look into saturation. A saturation that I always use is tape saturation. I love a bit of tape saturation. Now you can find a tape saturation plugin somewhere on the internet, go and search for one. You can pay lots of money for them. A great little tip though is if you are in Logic, grab the tape delay plugin and just set the delay time to 0. Take all of the dry signal out and use around 80% of the wet signal, and you're going to get saturation then. It's a little clever trick there to get free saturation from Logic Pro 10. I use that all the time, and then you can dial it in. There's a clip threshold button on there somewhere, and you can kind of dial that in to see how much saturation you want. Maybe you want it to sound like an old recording. Maybe you just need something just gentle to bring things into the analog world. All right, but you need to do a bit of saturation to make things sound real and not digital anymore. We need to work kind of quite hard to get out of that digital world. The next thing, you want to look at like the space you want it in. So you want to look at reverb. Do you want it to, you can play around with all different settings for reverb. I recommend usually doing a reverb on a send. So grab that send and send it to another bus. And I can do a video on that as well. If there's anything that's kind of confusing in this video, let me know in the comment section. I'll do a separate video kind of explaining it in detail. But essentially you want to do a send to another bus and then add a reverb to that. Choose your reverb. You can do like a big cathedral or a small little boxy room, whatever you want. Now, the very last thing is the whole stereo to mono thing, whether you should be recording in stereo or mono, whether you should be mixing in stereo or mono, all of that stuff. So I actually have a video on that that's been quite popular on this channel. So if you want to head on over and watch that, it's about recording in stereo or mono with your piano. And I don't know, maybe the link will be somewhere, but you'll find it on my channel. Recording in stereo or mono for your piano. I hope that helped. I know it was kind of quick fire. If you have any questions, head on into the comment section and let me know. Now, before you go, I have a little gift for you. If you need some recommendations in the world of recording and mixing, if you're thinking, I like this stuff, I want to learn more about this stuff, but what equipment do I need? Then I actually have a full list, a full guide actually, to get you all of that equipment, get you all set up for recording and mixing on an affordable budget as well. So head on into the description, there's a link there, and you can grab that free ebook from me to you. Until next time, my friends, my name's Tim from Audio Tutor. Ciao.